In this election, Miami-Dade County flipped red for the first time since 1998. Experts believe the Hispanic vote helped sway the county to the right. Anti-socialist rhetoric resonates with Latino voters. I spoke to a Cuban American in Miami-Dade about what voters like him consider during elections. Ernesto Vasallo was born and raised in Havana City during the 1970s. His mother was a nurse and his father worked with the PCC, overseeing an aluminum factory.
Henry was a big fan of the revolution.
Ernesto recalls elementary school morning roll calls called matutino. Students would sing the national anthem and hear about the progress of the revolution.
But when you get into like high school age, you start getting little questions about why is it like this? Even though in Cuba it's difficult to talk about the government because it's totally prohibited.
Ernesto was impacted by the scarcity of goods. After 3 years of mandatory military service with no benefits, he felt the island's political unrest.
Communism means common for everybody, so it was not common.
Ernesto and his cousin left on a boat in 1994. They stayed in Guantanamo Bay for a year, living in tents before arriving at Homestead Air Reserve Base in Florida and then living with relatives.
My family picked me up on a Friday. On Monday, I started working. Something that my mom told me when I was little, it says, work, don't kill nobody.
From the 1960s to the 1980s, more than 625 Cuban immigrants settled here in South Florida. Now Miami-Dade County is home to over 50% of all Cuban immigrants in the U.S. The Cuban Americans represent over 30% of the residents in Miami-Dade County.
It changed my life.
Beatriz arrived from Cuba years before Ernesto and met him in Homestead. Since then, they have chased the American dream together.
We have been able to create and to sustain this family. And I'm blessed of this country. And every time that I see someone talking bad about this country, I say, no, you better live. Because if you cannot do it here, you cannot do it anywhere else.
Cuban and Venezuelan Americans who experience socialism view Trump's hardline stance against leftist policies as a safeguard against similar outcomes in the U.S.
You don't want this country to become the next Soviet Union or Cuba or North Korea.
Trump's approval rating amongst Cuban Americans was his highest ever at 68%, according to FIU's most recent Cuban research poll. In 2020, the poll registered 59%, and in 2016, 35%. Reporting for Caplin News, I'm Samantha Gutierrez.